Hello and welcome to our presentation for INFR 3610U. We will be covering Wi-Fi cracking and some of the implications behind it. So, a brief overview. Wireless networks are everywhere. People still tend to use not very secure passwords. Wireless network cracking tools are very easy to use and readily available to everyone. And once someone has access to your wireless network, so many more security risks are presented. So first step of cracking a wireless network is actually monitoring it. So there's a tool, a very popular one called Airmon NG, is going to be the tool that we use in our demo to monitor the wireless networks in the area. It outputs the information about the wireless networks within range of your wireless card, and it gives you information that are useful to attack vectors such as BSSID, ESSID, and the type of authentication that wireless network is using. Once enough information is gathered, the attacker can begin to deauth and capture packets. So speaking of Wi-Fi packets, we have a brief overview here. This is kind of a picture of what the Wi-Fi packets actually look like, and the different packet types. So there's data where the actual information is transmitted, network management and control packets, which are going to be the ones that we're looking at because it's actually what's setting up and authenticating the attacks. So there's different types of authentication as well. WEP, WPA, and WPA2. So we're going to be focusing on WPA2, which is generally what home networks use. They generally use a personal password that's set instead of using a large key. Although these other password systems can be cracked, they're a lot more complicated to crack. So the basis of this whole attack is a deauthentication attack. Basically what that means is that we're allowed to, we send a packet, either specified or non-specified, that essentially deauthorizes everyone that's on that network, or a specific person that's on that network, so that person has to reauthorize themselves. And during that process, we capture the packet that sends the authentication information, and from there what we try and do is we try and crack the hash. So we're presented with a packet that has a hash, which is actually the user's password, but we can't really use it, or we can't really deauthenticate or decrypt it, because we want to be able to type it in and use it ourselves, right? So we can use a tool such as John the Ripper, which is a free software tool that is very popular. It's on Unix, but now runs on 50 different platforms, and is the most popular tool for testing and breaking passwords. You can use things such as a dictionary attack, or which basically we have like a text file with different words in it, and it will based off those popular words. You can download dictionaries for free using the most popular passwords, like the 1,500 most popular passwords available, that type of idea. Brute force can also be used, where it basically tries to go through every single plain text that is possible. It's very, very, very slow, but it is something very possible, especially if you have a very powerful computer, and people are actually building supercomputers for this reason. It uses a frequency table which checks frequency, frequently used characters first, and like I said, it takes a very long time. So what makes a good password? You must first remember things to avoid when making a bad password. Some things you should avoid is don't reuse the password that you've used before. Don't make a password that's too short. Try to have a minimum of 8 characters. Don't use dictionary words. Don't use a password that's personal to you. It doesn't matter, like your name, your dog, it doesn't really matter. Just don't use something that's personal. Try and have it as disconnected from you as possible. Use special characters as well. That's a good thing to mention. And don't write down your password and have it posted on your PC, because if they can just read it, that's not very good security. And password obviously is not a very good password. Make it like out of a phrase or a quote, something long and convoluted that nobody's going to think about. The more entropy, the better. Has upper lowercase, special characters. And if you're having trouble remembering it, there's apps out there now that are very secure, where all the information is stored locally on your phone. So you would really only have to remember one password, and then all that other password is encrypted on that. But again, that's also a single point of failure. So there's some legal issues with Wi-Fi cracking. So obviously this stuff isn't legal. It's not very legal for somebody to do. So for example, stealing somebody's Wi-Fi without their permission is called piggybacking. This is actually an indictable offense. It's with a maximum sentence of 10 years in Canada. Intercepting private communications is illegal, with a lot of exceptions. In general, you can intercept private communications if you have consent from the person sending them. If you're the service provider who requires service data quality data, or requires it to maintain said service, or you're intercepting the private data communication to preserve your own computer systems. Retaining that information is a different story. However, feel free to, yeah, it's like they can basically, if they own data, they're allowed to cut it out. And deauthentication spam is, it's illegal in the States but not in Canada. While jamming cell phone, GPS, and those devices are illegal, there's currently no law against deauthentication spamming somebody to disconnect from an open Wi-Fi network. This is different in the US, where it's actually explicitly prohibited from the FCC. Security and keeping yourself safe. So to keep yourself safe when using a new device or a new account, remember these few things that may prevent you from being hacked. Your strong password, two-factor authentication. That's huge nowadays. You can have your phone as a two-factor authenticator. Make sure that you're using HTTPS everywhere. Most websites have it, but actually it's a key thing to have now. So it's actually secured. Keep all your devices up to date. Latest patches will help prevent different security leaks and antivirus and malware. And don't trust public Wi-Fi. Other people may be on it, and if the public Wi-Fi isn't set up properly, it's your information may be at risk. That's all for our presentation. We'll move on to the demo quickly now. Thank you for listening to this portion, and I'll see you in the next. So hello and welcome to the demo portion of our final project. So this is, we're going to show some basic Wi-Fi cracking tools. So to start off, we're actually going to monitor a network. To do this, you generally have to put the interface into monitoring mode. Mine is already in monitoring mode. You can see that from here. So I have a mon device. This is done by using the command airmon ng start, and then the interface that you want to turn into a monitoring device. From here, what we can do is we can actually do area dump. And then the monitoring device. And this shows us all of the different networks within the area that we can attack. So we're going to be focusing this one here. So from here, what we can do is we can actually focus in, and let me just make sure. I have some files from previous tests here. Oops. So what you can actually do is focus in on that specific BSS ID and write it to a file. So that's what we're going to be doing with this command. So now it's showing any sort of traffic across or whatever's connected. So now this is where it gets interesting. Generally, here's where it would deauthenticate, and you would see the fact that an authentication packet is captured here. No matter what I do in my power, if I shut the phone off, turn it back on, or disable my Wi-Fi, authenticate as a new user, it doesn't seem to want to connect here. This is interesting, at least. And actually, look at that. This time we have gotten a WPA handshake. So I guess recording luck here, since all the times we tried it, I was ready to give up. So I'm glad. So what we can do is we can actually stop sending deauthentication packets because we've captured a WPA handshake. From here, I have a password file that I can show you. So it's just called passwords. It's just plain text with a bunch of different passwords. Just some random gobbledygook, and like my dog's name, for example, password, which is the actual, we'll see in a second, that's the actual password, a name, UOIT, hello, testing 4321, just random stuff like that. So what we can do now is we can actually use aircrack to crack the cat file that has captured this WPA handshake, and we're using the dictionary file passwords. So we can see that, and the key has been found, and the key is password. So that's basically aircrack in a nutshell, and shows you how to do some basic Wi-Fi cracking. Thank you for your time, and have a wonderful day.